They say it was a targeted hit. Time will tell. I hope there isn't any foul play on Rock's side. There's obviously some foul play because we got a man dead.
What y'all need answers to, gang? I said what the fuck I said. I don't gotta touch bases on that. I'm not talking about nobody else's child on the stream.
Chrisean Rock is now facing talk of a possible life sentence after being connected to a shocking murder-for-hire investigation involving the father of her child.
I only talk about my own children. I don't talk about other people's kids. Shout out to Izzy, Is You Cool Ho. Is You Cool Ho, okay? Cool? Shout out to Is You Cool Ho for the sub.
What first looked like internet rumors has now turned into something far more serious, and the details coming out are leaving people stunned. And what I'm about to break down in this video might seriously leave you speechless. The drama behind the scenes goes way deeper than the viral clips everyone sees online.
Exactly, I already said it on Twitter. What the fuck else you want me to say?
In one moment that had people talking, someone is heard saying, "Girl right here, Junior, right? You weird as shit. Ain't nobody stalking you. That's my..." And that tense exchange already had fans questioning what was really going on. But according to the allegations being discussed, behind all the chaotic relationship drama and viral internet moments, something much darker may have been happening.
Thanks for reminding everybody. It's already been said, chat. I will not be speaking on behalf of that no longer.
Investigators are reportedly examining claims that a dangerous plan was set up against the real father of her son, a situation that tragically ended with a man losing his life. Now, federal agents are said to be reviewing phone records, identifying possible suspects, and building a case that could bring extremely serious prison time if those claims are proven true. The situation unfolding appears far more complicated and calculated than many people ever imagined, and the twists keep getting even wilder. Reports claim that someone within the family may have revealed information about what really happened, exposing how far certain people might have gone to keep secrets hidden.
It's not my business, it's not my place.
This situation has been shaking up the hip-hop community in a serious way. At this point, people are saying this goes way beyond internet entertainment. The conversation now involves allegations of murder, conspiracy, organized crime, and a child who may grow up without truly knowing his biological father after a tragic situation connected to identity, fame, and money. Now, before we go any further, let's be clear about something. Reports claim that federal authorities have launched a homicide investigation where Chrisean Rock's name has been mentioned as part of the case connected to the death of Ronnie Doe, the man who publicly said he was Junior's real father and had been fighting to be recognized. But listen, we're here to separate facts from rumors, the real talk from the internet noise, because people close to the situation say this story might run much deeper than regular relationship drama.
I'm not gonna lie, Blueface talk a lot of shit and he trolls a lot, we noticed, but for him to come out and say that Chrisean Jr. is not his son, hold on, let me read exactly what he said. And mind y'all, he just posted this. Junior is not my biological son. RIP to his father, Ronnie. I can no longer continue to plot. It doesn't feel right as a present father in all my kids' life to be discredited as a absent father to a child.
Some discussions surrounding the case mention possible federal crimes, accusations of conspiracy across state lines, and claims investigators believe the incident may have been planned ahead of time. February 3rd, 2025, at exactly 7:10 p.m. That's the moment many say everything changed. That night, Ronnie Doe, a 24-year-old man from Baltimore who had been publicly pushing for paternity testing, was shot outside his home in what authorities reportedly described as a targeted attack rather than random violence. According to reports circulating online, Ronnie had been demanding DNA tests and speaking out about what he believed were lies, and he was expecting proof soon that could confirm whether he was truly the father. Now hold up, because this is where the situation gets even more intense. People following the case say investigators have been looking into phone records, possible connections across multiple states, and whether more than one person could be involved in what authorities are examining as a very serious criminal case.
Right here, Junior right here, weird as a bitch. You weird as shit. You weird as shit.
What's wrong?
You weird as shit. Ain't nobody stalking you.
But here's where the story starts getting real messy. Because according to the claims people are discussing, the trail of questions and suspicions seems to circle back to the same person whose public image was built around a very specific relationship narrative. Some critics online are even saying her fame, her brand, and a huge part of her income all came from being tied to the wrong man as the father of her child. And they believe she felt pressure to keep that story alive no matter what. So let's rewind for a second and go back to where this whole situation supposedly started. Understanding the beginning is key to understanding how the drama escalated into something much darker and more serious. Chrisean Rock, a young woman from Baltimore with huge ambitions and a very chaotic path to fame, reportedly got connected to Blueface's label around 2021. At that time, she wasn't a big name yet, and she was still trying to break into the industry and build a following online. In both the streets and the music business, people know these kinds of artist-label relationships can get complicated fast, especially when there's a major power imbalance.
He would have worshipped my little nigga like that. I don't know, it would have been better off having a baby with him than
Blueface reportedly had the resources, the connections, and the industry spotlight that many upcoming artists dream about. Meanwhile, Chrisean was heavily tied to that opportunity for her next move in the spotlight. Her income, her exposure, and much of her public image were connected to that relationship and the viral attention around it. And that kind of setup can create a lot of pressure. When someone feels like their entire future depends on one situation working out, the stakes suddenly become extremely high. Some observers even claim that early on she realized her viral value in the spotlight wasn't only about music. It was about the drama, the relationship headlines, and the chaos that kept people watching online. Her value in that situation wasn't just about music. It was about being part of the content machine. The drama, the arguments, the chaos on camera, all of it kept people watching and clicking. Every viral moment brought more views, more attention, and more money into the spotlight. But the story goes deeper than just a messy work relationship that crossed professional lines. What started as a business connection reportedly turned personal very quickly, but not in a healthy way at all. Instead, the public saw a non-stop cycle of arguments, breakups, and dramatic reunions playing out online for millions of followers. The internet watched it like reality TV, with every fight, every emotional moment, and every viral clip spreading across social media. But according to people close to the situation, there was another side to the story that many fans didn't know about. While the public was focused on the chaos with Blueface, there were claims that Chrisean had someone else in her life, someone who cared about her outside of the spotlight and the internet drama. Even early on, critics say there were signs that things around her were becoming complicated and messy. She often appeared to be trying to prove loyalty, trying to secure her place, and constantly battling for attention in a situation that looked unstable from the outside. Some observers believe that kind of pressure can push people into difficult choices when they feel like their entire future depends on one situation working out. Now let's talk about Ronnie Doe, because his story sits at the center of this entire tragedy. People who knew him say he wasn't chasing internet fame, and he wasn't trying to ride anyone's name for attention. According to multiple sources, including individuals who claim to know the situation personally, Ronnie was simply someone from Baltimore who cared deeply about Chrisean and stood by her through serious struggles, even when it put his own reputation and safety at risk. According to people who say they knew the situation closely, Ronnie was the real boyfriend behind the scenes, the one around when the cameras were off and the internet drama stopped. While the public was watching the explosive relationship with Blueface play out online, Ronnie was reportedly still in her life away from the spotlight. While the viral clips showed arguments, chaos, and relationship drama for millions of viewers, Ronnie was said to be the one supporting her privately. Some sources claim he helped her emotionally, tried to look out for her when things got rough, and stayed loyal even when the situation around her life kept getting complicated. Then something came out that really shocked people following the story. Chrisean's sister reportedly made a statement that had everyone talking when she said, "That was my brother-in-law, and he still is. He will love you and my nephew, and Ronnie ain't gonna play with him. He already went to jail for you once." Think about that for a second. According to that claim, Ronnie had already shown serious loyalty by getting into legal trouble while trying to defend or protect her in the past. Supporters of Ronnie say that shows just how deeply committed he was to her and the situation surrounding her life. But here's where the timeline started raising major questions for people online. When observers began comparing the dates of Chrisean's relationship drama with Blueface and the time she reportedly spent around Ronnie, some started suggesting that Ronnie appeared to be a consistent presence in her life behind the scenes. During the periods when the public relationship with Blueface seemed to be off again, some sources claim she was spending time with Ronnie away from the cameras. And when the pregnancy became public, critics say the timeline created even more questions, with claims that Ronnie believed he had proof suggesting he might actually be the biological father. Ronnie didn't stay quiet about what he believed was the truth. He reportedly pointed it out publicly several times, saying Chrisean had been traveling back and forth between Los Angeles and Baltimore during the time the child was conceived. Now, this is where the conversation around the situation becomes even more controversial. Critics online started questioning Chrisean's choices during her pregnancy, saying they believe she was more focused on maintaining her public image and viral relationship drama than slowing down and protecting her health during that time. Several clips and posts circulated on social media that showed her still attending parties, dealing with intense relationship arguments, and continuing the chaotic lifestyle that had already made headlines across the internet. People who were watching the situation unfold began raising concerns, saying pregnancy is normally a time when someone tries to be extra careful about stress, health, and the environment around them. Supporters argued that life in the spotlight can be complicated, while critics felt the lifestyle being shown online didn't match what they expected from someone preparing to welcome a child. Then, when Junior was born, many viewers immediately noticed that the baby appeared to have some health challenges that sparked even more debate online. People began asking questions about whether proper prenatal care and a calmer environment might have made a difference. But instead of the conversation calming down, the debate over paternity only grew louder. Critics claimed that admitting Ronnie could be the father might have completely changed the public story surrounding her relationship, something they believe could have damaged her image and the attention her brand had been built around. The real story that had everyone talking was understanding why Chrisean seemed so determined to keep Blueface in the father role publicly. And according to many people following the situation, it wasn't just about being connected to a celebrity. Ronnie was described as a regular guy from Baltimore. He wasn't part of the entertainment industry. He didn't have a huge platform, and he wasn't surrounded by fame or money. To some observers, that meant he couldn't offer the kind of lifestyle that comes with being connected to someone already established in the music world. On the other hand, Blueface represented something very different. Being tied to a well-known artist meant visibility, industry relevance, and a connection to a lifestyle built around fame and opportunity. But this is where things started raising serious questions online. The first DNA test that reportedly claimed Blueface was the father immediately sparked skepticism from people paying attention to the details. According to discussions that circulated at the time, the paperwork and presentation of the test didn't look like what people expected from a normal medical lab result. Some observers said the envelope appeared unsealed, the documents looked worn, and certain steps that normally come with official testing didn't seem clear. Even Blueface himself later expressed doubts about the results. In posts that later spread widely online, he wrote, "I knew there was something off. I didn't think that was my baby. That DNA test was a little weird. When I read it, it seemed fake. I had no control over the test." So even the person being presented as the father publicly appeared to question whether the situation was accurate. The involvement of a television network in turning the paternity discussion into entertainment content also raised eyebrows among viewers. When something as serious as a paternity test becomes part of a reality show storyline, many people start wondering whether the truth is getting lost in the spectacle. Meanwhile, Ronnie continued pushing for answers. According to those familiar with the situation, he was determined to prove his claim and fight for recognition as the father, speaking publicly and trying to present what he believed was real evidence. Ronnie kept pushing for answers in the most public way possible. He started posting constantly on social media, going live across different platforms, and openly asking for one simple thing: a legitimate DNA test to settle the question once and for all. In several of his posts, Ronnie even shared side-by-side pictures comparing Junior to photos of himself when he was younger. A lot of viewers said the resemblance looked striking, and the comment sections quickly filled with strangers pointing out what they believed were obvious similarities. His live streams were especially emotional to watch. People who tuned in saw someone who looked genuinely hurt and frustrated about being kept away from a child he believed was his. During one of those streams, he said, "All I'm asking is for us to hold adults accountable. If Junior is not my son, I deserve to have that proven to me through a DNA test. If Junior is not my son, the DNA test will prove that, right or wrong." He even went further and asked viewers directly, saying, "Any father on here? Any real man? Any father would want to make things right and would want to know if that's his child." To many viewers, that didn't sound like someone chasing internet attention. It sounded like someone desperately trying to be recognized as a father and get clarity about the truth. But as Ronnie became louder about the paternity question and kept demanding real testing, the pressure surrounding the situation reportedly started building quickly. Around that time, Chrisean also posted messages online that later sparked serious debate. In one post that spread widely, she wrote, "Everyone that thinks they can speak on my son always lose their life. I wonder why they keep going. When they go in to see the end result of trying to harm me for your personal clout and gain." Those words immediately caught people's attention and added even more tension to an already explosive situation. Critics online began interpreting those posts as a warning. To them, it sounded like anyone who challenged the story surrounding Junior could face serious consequences. And once people started connecting different events that happened afterward, many began saying the situation looked deeply troubling. Some pointed out that Blueface had previously faced legal trouble and jail time during the period when the paternity debate was happening publicly. Then later, Ronnie, the man who had been loudly demanding a DNA test, tragically lost his life. For many observers online, those events created a pattern that raised even more suspicion and questions. February 3rd, 2025, at around 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's the moment investigators say everything changed. That evening, reports of gunshots brought police officers from the Anne Arundel County Police Department to a residential area on Sea Pine Circle in Severn, Maryland. Neighbors in that quiet neighborhood were shocked as emergency vehicles rushed to the scene. When officers arrived, they reportedly found Ronnie Doe lying outside his home with gunshot wounds. This wasn't described as a robbery or a random street incident. Authorities quickly began treating the case as a targeted homicide after examining the scene and gathering early information. The fact that the shooting happened directly outside his home raised serious concerns for investigators. It suggested the attackers may have known exactly where he lived, along with details about his daily routine and movements. Because of the circumstances surrounding the case, local authorities classified the situation as a homicide investigation almost immediately. That early determination would later open the door for a much larger investigation involving additional law enforcement resources. Early findings from investigators reportedly suggested this was not a random act of violence at all. Detectives believed the shooting showed signs of being targeted, meaning someone may have specifically intended for Ronnie Doe to be harmed. That conclusion immediately raised the seriousness of the case. When law enforcement begins suspecting that a crime may have been planned ahead of time, it opens the door to much deeper investigations and much heavier charges if evidence supports it. Now here's where things reportedly escalated fast. Situations like this sometimes bring in federal authorities when investigators believe there could be larger elements involved, such as conspiracy across state lines, organized criminal activity, or potential murder-for-hire scenarios. Federal agencies do not step into every local homicide investigation. They usually become involved only when certain legal thresholds are met and when investigators believe the situation may extend beyond a single local incident. According to sources discussing the investigation, agents also began reviewing communications connected to individuals believed to be close to the situation. One name that surfaced in discussions was someone known as Quell, who has been described by some reports as a longtime associate of Chrisean Rock. Law enforcement sources referenced in reports claim Quell has ties to Baltimore and has been looked at closely as investigators tried to understand whether anyone else may have been involved. When rumors about the investigation started circulating online, Quayle later went live on social media and responded to the speculation. During that live stream, he said, "This really crazy. Y'all want to speak to me about some I don't know about, all because when I roll the block, I smoke. But I like if y'all watching, because y'all only doing this off YouTube." That response immediately spread across social media, with many people debating what it meant. But the situation became even more explosive when Chrisean's own sister, Teseki, appeared on a podcast with Jason Lee. During that interview, her comments added another layer of controversy because many viewers felt her words hinted at deeper knowledge about the situation while still being careful about what she directly stated. When Jason Lee asked directly about Ronnie's death and the situation surrounding it, Teseki's response immediately caught everyone's attention. Instead of giving a clear answer, she paused and carefully chose her words, saying, "I can't even really speak on it because it's my family." That moment quickly spread across social media because people felt the message behind those words was powerful. When someone's own sister says publicly that things don't look too good in connection to a serious investigation, it instantly raises eyebrows and fuels even more speculation. Teseki's hesitation and careful phrasing made many viewers believe she might know more about the situation than she was willing to say out loud. Her comment, "I can't even really speak on this because it's my family," suggested that whatever information she might have could be deeply personal and extremely sensitive. To many people watching the interview, it sounded like someone trying to avoid revealing details that could create major legal consequences for someone close to them. Some observers later argued that her statement hinted at a belief that Ronnie's situation may have been connected to the ongoing paternity conflict and the pressure surrounding it. And just when the story already seemed intense, another development reportedly pushed the controversy even further. According to discussions circulating online, Blueface later took a new DNA test through formal legal channels, a version that could potentially be used in court if necessary. The reported results from that new test added even more fuel to the debate because many people claimed it supported what Ronnie had been insisting all along. The reported result from that new test shocked a lot of people watching the story unfold. According to claims spreading online, the test showed that Junior is not Blueface's biological son. Blueface later explained his reason for speaking out, saying he was worried about how the situation might affect his reputation as a father to his other children. He reportedly didn't want people believing he was ignoring his real kids or failing to show up for them. But the timing of that admission raised a lot of questions for observers. The statement came after Ronnie had already lost his life while pushing for the truth about paternity, and that timing immediately sparked debate across social media. Some people wondered if the decision to finally confirm the DNA results was about honesty and clearing the air. Others questioned whether it might also be connected to legal pressure or the growing investigation surrounding the case. For many following the situation, the biggest question became simple but powerful. Why reveal this information now? Why wait until after Ronnie was gone and unable to see the result he had been demanding the entire time? That timing has led some commentators and legal analysts online to speculate that investigators may be gathering cooperation from multiple people connected to the situation. Now let's talk about why authorities reportedly believe they could be building a strong legal case if evidence supports the claims being discussed. Federal prosecutors typically pursue cases only when they believe they have substantial evidence. According to analysts discussing the investigation, the case could involve several key elements that investigators often focus on. The first is motive. Critics argue that Chrisean's public brand, income opportunities, and online relevance were closely tied to the narrative involving Blueface and the child. If that story were proven incorrect, some believe it could have dramatically changed her public image and financial opportunities. The second factor investigators often examine is opportunity. Reports claim that through various connections, individuals around the situation may have had access to people capable of carrying out violent acts, something authorities would carefully investigate if evidence pointed in that direction. One person frequently mentioned in discussions around the case is Quayle. Some reports describe him as someone connected to Baltimore with alleged ties to street groups, and investigators have reportedly looked closely at his communications while trying to piece together the timeline of events. According to sources discussing the investigation, phone records and digital communications may play a major role in understanding what happened. When authorities examine cases like this, they often study messages, call logs, and travel patterns to determine whether any coordination took place. Investigators are also believed to be analyzing the circumstances of the crime itself. The fact that the shooting happened outside Ronnie's home, combined with the timing close to when he was pushing for a DNA test, has led some observers to believe the situation may not have been random. In cases involving conspiracy, prosecutors often focus on whether there was planning, communication between multiple people, and clear intent behind the act. Another element being discussed is social media activity. Posts made online can sometimes become evidence if investigators believe they reveal threats, intent, or emotional motives connected to a case. For example, statements like, "Everyone that thinks they can speak on my son always lose their life," have been widely debated online, with some people arguing those kinds of posts could be interpreted in different ways depending on the context. Some legal commentators have also mentioned the possibility that investigators might explore broader charges if they believe multiple people were working together in an organized way. In rare situations, that could include racketeering-style investigations if authorities believed violence was used to protect money or influence. But through all the debate and controversy, many people agree on one heartbreaking point. The child at the center of this situation may ultimately carry the deepest emotional impact from everything that has happened. According to those who supported Ronnie, he spent his final months trying to prove he was the father and hoping to be recognized as part of his child's life. And when you step back and really look at the entire timeline, the situation becomes even more tragic. A young child is now at the center of a storm filled with investigations, online accusations, family conflict, and a story that continues to shock the hip-hop community. If the claims being discussed ever get fully proven in court, the consequences could be massive for everyone involved. Federal conspiracy charges, homicide investigations, and potential organized crime connections are not small accusations. These are the kinds of cases that can change lives forever. Investigators are reportedly still working to piece together every detail. That means reviewing phone records, financial activity, travel history, and statements from people connected to the situation. Every message, every call, and every timeline detail could become a crucial part of the case. Legal experts often say cases like this can take months or even years to fully unfold. Federal investigators tend to move slowly but carefully, building their case piece by piece before bringing major charges. Meanwhile, the internet continues to debate what really happened. Supporters, critics, and curious observers are all watching closely as new information keeps surfacing. One thing is certain though, this story is far from over. With investigators still digging for answers and more people speaking out, the truth behind Ronnie Doe's death may eventually come fully into the spotlight. And when it does, the fallout could shake the industry even more. But the deeper investigators reportedly dig into this situation, the more complicated the story appears to become. What first looked like internet drama between celebrities has slowly turned into something far more serious. A case filled with unanswered questions, emotional family conflict, and a tragic loss of life that still has people demanding the truth. Law enforcement sources say cases involving conspiracy are rarely simple. Investigators often spend months analyzing digital footprints, financial transactions, travel records, and communication between multiple people to determine whether events were random or carefully coordinated. That means every phone call, every text message, every social media post, and every meeting between individuals connected to the situation could potentially become part of the evidence trail. In today's world, digital history can reveal patterns that people never expected investigators to see. Another major focus for investigators in situations like this is timing. Authorities often study exactly when key events happened, who contacted who, where people were located, and what conversations were taking place before and after a crime occurred. When those timelines begin lining up in suspicious ways, that's when cases can quickly escalate from speculation to serious legal action. Legal analysts also point out that high-profile cases connected to celebrities often attract even more scrutiny. When public figures are involved, investigators know that the case will be heavily examined by both the media and the public, which means the evidence has to be extremely solid before any major charges move forward. Meanwhile, people close to the situation continue to speak out online, adding new layers to the conversation every week. Some defend Chrisean and believe the accusations are exaggerated rumors spreading across social media. Others argue that too many strange events have happened for everything to simply be coincidence. But while the internet debates theories and speculation, one painful reality remains at the center of it all. A young man lost his life while trying to prove his role as a father, and a child may one day grow up learning that his story began with one of the most controversial and emotional cases the internet has ever followed. Right now, the FBI investigation is still actively unfolding. According to sources discussing the case, federal authorities are continuing to gather evidence, and some reports suggest additional arrests could possibly happen as investigators dig deeper into what really took place. Agents are reportedly examining phone records, reviewing digital communications, and conducting interviews with people who may have inside knowledge about the situation. Digital forensics, witness statements, and surveillance data can sometimes reveal connections that were never obvious at first glance. Legal analysts following the case say federal prosecutors could potentially consider a range of serious charges if investigators believe the evidence supports them. These discussions have included accusations such as conspiracy to commit murder, murder for hire, interstate conspiracy, possible racketeering violations, and obstruction of justice, all extremely serious federal offenses that carry heavy penalties if proven in court. Beyond the courtroom, this story has also sparked a larger conversation online. Many people are questioning how fame, internet attention, and entertainment culture can sometimes blur the line between personal drama and real-life consequences. At the center of it all is a heartbreaking reality. A life was lost, a family was torn apart, and a child may one day grow up asking difficult questions about what really happened. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about everything that has come out surrounding this case? Do you believe investigators will uncover enough evidence to bring justice? And what lessons should be learned from a situation like this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more deep breakdowns and updates on stories like this, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who wants the full story. Stay tuned for more updates as this case continues to unfold.